Around 1500 AD, history made the most important choice,
changing not only the fate of mankind.
but also the fate of all creatures on Earth,
We call it the scientific revolution.
which began in Western Europe. This is just a huge peninsula on the Asia and Africa continent. Before that, it had not played a significant role in history. But why did this scientific revolution appear here, not China or India?
That's just the thing about that. If there is a Spanish farmer who fell asleep in 1000 AD,
It has been 500 years since he woke up, and he was still feel very familiar with the world around him.
maybe there are many differences in technologies, etiquettes, and borders.
But this farmer who is came from medieval can still feel at home. However, if a sailor from Columbus had the same dream, he would find himself in a totally strange and unbelievable world.
When he woke up and heard the iPhones ring from the 21st century, maybe he will ask himself,
Is this heaven or hell? If we have to select one of the most important and representative moments in the past 500 years,
it must be 5:29 and 45 seconds a.m. on July 16, 1945.
when American scientists detonated the first atomic bomb in New Mexico, nuclear physicist Oppenheimer quotes a sentence from the famous India book Bhagavad Gita,
Now I am the god of the death.
the destroyer of the world. From then on, mankind can not only change the historical process, but also ends the historical process. With the expansion of imperialist ambitions, Western Europeans have gradually led us out of the long transition period of the agricultural revolution to the scientific and technological era of the agricultural revolution. The biggest difference between the rise of science and the previous connective system is that we admit that we are not omniscient, which makes modern science system more elastic and active than all previous knowledge system, and even more thirsty for knowledge. In fact, for a long period after the agricultural revolution, our Homo sapiens not believe that our world would develop in a better place anymore, and their ambition to explore the world will gradually fade away. Until the first round world voyage in human history reopened the door for people to understand and explore new territory. So the first step in mainstream modern scientific exploration research was to expose the shortcomings of the old knowledge system. The cognitive revolution has taught human beings to tell stories. So modern scientific story rely on the mathematical knowledge. For example, the lightning and thunder before were the manifestation of source anger in our ancestors' opinion, but this phenomenon has been retreated by the modern scientist Franklin.
In an experiment on flying a cat,
There is no doubt that life has been changed according to the science and technology, but there is also a huge amount of expense.
behind the scientific research.
In 1484, Columbus met the King of Portugal, hoping that the king could support his team to sail, but the fee of this sail was too expensive, and knowing nothing about the future of the long voyage. So Columbus was rejected by the King of Portugal,
Columbus, after being rejected by many times,
did not give up. He traveled around many countries to find his supporter, until he met Queen Isabel of Spain, who is willing to bet on her money for Columbus. Obviously, the Queen of Spain is one, which got America's continent, discovered by Columbus. This sail brought Spain countless treasures, as well as labors, lands, and resources. The Portuguese just missed the super prize.
the first marriage between science and the empire laid the foundation for Western Europe.
To dominate the world in late Europe. But only such cooperation is not enough. For example, Zheng He, a Chinese ocean-going navigator, had made 7 times voyage to the western waters before the Western European countries. Moreover, the sky was much larger than that of Western European countries in the 15th century. So why was China not ahead of the West to discover America? The reason is that China's ambition only lies in its neighbors at that time. Their instable and conquering ambition really makes Western Europe winning the game. The financial support from the empire provided opportunity for the expansion of colonialism in Western Europe. Also, it is understandable to refuse Portuguese key of Columbus, because no one can make sure to experience the joy of victory when it comes to money. After all, in the 15th century, it was still in a capital economy model of one-hand payment and the first had delivered. The bankruptcy system has not been established. With the prosperity of colonial economy in Western Europe, people's view of investment have changed dramatically,
As the bank credit system showed up,
and participants are willing to invest in the present by using their future income. It is much more flexible than old economic system, which was difficult to live without cash. But at the same time, economic risks are also increasing day by day. The credit system provided unlimited possibilities for the rapid growth of the modern economy. At the same time, capitalists are willing to reinvest the profits they earn in production. But economic growth requires a lot of energy and raw materials. If energy is insufficient and raw materials are scarce, well, it's a suitable place to our economy and society. Therefore,
sinking new raw material energy has become an opportunity for the Industrial Revolution. Only in this way, the Industrial Revolution can be carried out.
in fact, in the thousands of years before the Industrial Revolution, human beings have learned to use different energy sources, such as using wind to push ships and water conserves to raid. Apparently, those usages will have so many restrictions. We have to think about the most fundamental physics theory. At the time, people did not know how to convert energy. It was not until Watt discovered the secret of the lead of the kettle and human beings really moved into the area of steam. Steam engines convert hot engine into kinetic engine.
And the Industrial Revolution is the revolution of energy conversion.
Human history has entered the mechanical age. All kinds of newly invented machines has freed the labor force, and the productive of human society has developed explosively. At the same time, mankind's dependence on the surrounding ecological environment has been greatly reduced. Once low city water and large mountains have begun to replace concrete in modern society. Although human beings no longer need to waste their brains on energy shortages, ecological environments are becoming more and more severe, which become the biggest problem. But Yuval is more worried about human changes in ecosystems. In an agricultural society, people can control raw methane to obtain more milk production. In modern society, the rapid development of the science and technology has completely broken through this very primitive intervention. In modern experiments, people are transforming various organisms. For example, the jellyfish, with the DNA of green fluorescent, is implanted into an ordinary white rabbit's body, which can make a white rabbit with green fluorescence. After 4 billion years of nature selection, life will be retained with intelligence design,
Bioengineering.
bionic engineering, and inorganic life engineering. First of all, bioengineering has achieved some predetermined purpose by changing the genes of species, such as in 1996,
Scientists implanted cow cartilage tissue on the back of a mouse.
and by interfering with the growth of new tissues. A mouse's back grow an ear seems like a shape of a human ear.
It provides a possibility of scientific imagination for a future society.
That we can imagine that patients with sexual deafness transplant artificial ears, but by the means of genetic recombination, we can find a horrible fact that if human beings form an unknown superhuman species one day, do we human beings have a response for this? Bionic Engineering, a U.S. military research institute, is exploring a span fly. which made by mechanical technology.
When the fly sinks deeply into the enemy,
The electronic chip in the body can provide the information that the US military wanted. The Homo sapiens are also applied to this, such as instinctual chip controlled by chemical arms for human beings, such as Frankenstein's, with 3 hands and 6 mouths to touch people like us. This may not be imagination in science fiction. Finally, we will talk about inorganic bioengineering. We may have been suffered the inorganic evolution of computer viruses, but we don't know exactly how they were produced. This sudden error caused by the computer network and the rapid invention of other computers are almost beyond human control. We think it is non-organic. But if the artificial brain is developed and born,
and this brain is unfortunately invaded by a network virus,
should we scalp this brain with one click? It is a murder. Obviously, if we are allowed to develop indiscriminately, we human beings really need to consider our current situation. No one really knows what the future Homo sapiens will be like. Homo sapiens from the distant past continues to the present. The agricultural revolution guided us to live a peaceful life and also lead us into a group life combined with a harmonious country.
the Industrial Revolution broke the shackles of human resources in an agricultural society.
And people began to step on the further road of the scientific and technological innovation. In Yuval's brief history of humanity, he raised an improper question: are we human beings really happy? The reason why he felt inappropriate that is question, whether from the perspective of biology, history, and economics, has his own opinion. But the real happiness lies in understanding of the human's own. Human beings have developed for tens of thousands of years, with intellectual process and a deadly threat to other species. And the contemporary biological revolution will take human beings to which place?